Bonjour, bienvenidos, benvenuti, welcome to the Music Polyglot channel. Now, that's better. This being the Music Polyglot channel, you'll find good quality subtitles down there. Today we're going to have a look at Interstate Love Song by the Stone Temple Pilots. What a tune to play on a guitar. We'll break everything down so that you know exactly what to do if you want to play the song as it sounds on the record. Now, if you, my friend, if you are a professional player or a very advanced guitarist, well, that was all you needed to know. That's all there is to the song, so you know what to do. Go get 'em, Tiger. For the rest of us, we'll break things down. Let's get to it. Let's begin by having a look at our chords and rhythm for the intro and the chorus. Let me play it for you once, okay, so you can see what's going on. Brilliant. All right. The first chord is a C sharp minor 7. Okay. So we have our barré on the 4th fret. We're not playing the bottom E string. We're not playing the 6th string. Ideally, you'll be muting it with your index. The ring finger, your 3rd finger, goes on the D string. That's the 4th string, 6th fret. Your 3rd string is open to your barré, and your middle finger goes on the 5th fret, 2nd string. So on the B string, 5th fret, and your top E is open to the barré. That's a C sharp minor 7. After that, we go down to an E major chord. That's the open E shape. I'm sure I don't need to tell you how to play that one. After that, we have an A sus2. Okay, if you're coming from an A major, you would probably play it with fingers 1 and 2. But because you're coming from an E major, I suggest you play it with fingers 2 and 3, so that the only thing you need to do is to lift the index and drop those two together, one set of strings, and there you have it. The bass note is obviously A, right? You don't want to hit the bottom E string. After that, we jump all the way up to the 4th fret. Your barring and your 3 fingers here play sort of an A shape, but not on strings 2, 3, and 4, but on strings 3, 4, and 5. And you want to hear everything. Okay, that's a G sharp sus4 chord, which then resolves to a G sharp major. That's your E shape. So after your G sharp major, you just take that shape up 1 fret to get that A major chord. And finally, you come to rest on an E major. Try it, open chord. Now, in terms of the rhythm, this is a semi-quaver based pattern. It's a pattern, strumming pattern based on 16th notes. That means that, first of all, your hand needs to be going down on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you need to play 4 notes in each beat. So you need to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a down, up, 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 down, up. All right? That's really, really important. Let's actually come down and work on the rhythm on an open A sus2 so that we don't get tired of playing bar chords all the time. This is a 1-bar pattern, so it really is all about getting the 1 bar right, and then you can loop the rhythm whilst the chords change. It starts off by going 1 and 2. So that's down, down, down. Notice how on the first 2 down strums, I'm aiming at the bottom region of the chord, so maybe the bottom 2, say 2, 3 strings. It doesn't have to be just the bass note, but the bottom region of it. And only on 2, on my 3rd strum, do I play the whole chord. So that's 1 and 2. Okay, remember that your hand's going 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2. After that, I'll play the of 2, so that's going to be an upstroke. 1 and 2, ah. Then you play the immediate next upstroke after that, ah. It's going to be the E of 3, 1 and 2, ah, E. And after that, you just keep playing the semiquavers like this, 1 and 2, ah, E and a 4th, E and 1 and 2, ah, E and a 4th, E and. Practice that on that A sus2 until you have the rhythm down and you memorize it, and then it's just a matter of playing that same rhythm on each of your chords. Until you get to that G sharp sus4. Because we have two chords in the same bar, the rhythm changes slightly. It goes 1, 2, and. Right, so that's 1, 2, and. And we change on the and of 2. 1, 2, and. Then you go back to the main rhythm. And you resolve down to an E major chord, which you hold in anticipation of the whole band coming in with the riff. Remember that this same chords and rhythm repeat in the choruses. So that's 2 sections down. Let's have a look at the verse. As usual, let me play it for you slowly and then we'll break it down. Excellent. What a great set of chords. Let's look at them. So the first one we have is C sharp minor 7. We've had a look at this one in the intro and chorus, so we don't need to look at it again. You know how it goes. Now look, to get the second chord, all we need to do is to drop the index a semitone, so 1 fret on our guitars. Then your middle finger, second finger, goes on the second string 4th fret. You get this note, E flat, or D sharp really in this context. Then you get the ring finger on that 5th fret of the G string, C, and then G sharp, so that's the 4th string, 6th fret. And you only play those 4 strings where you have your fingers. So it's a G sharp major over a B sharp bass. Lovely, that's chord number 2. Chord number 3. Again, your bass note will just come down 1 fret. But this time you'll be playing the bass note with finger 2. So finger 2 on the A string 2nd fret, you get that B note. Great. Then you need pinky on an F, the D string 3rd fret. Then you have your index finger on string 3, that's the G string 1st fret, to get that G sharp. And then you have your ring finger, so that's finger 3 on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. It's a 7 chord, but in 3rd inversions. And then for chord number 4, again, your bass note will only come down 1 fret or a semitone for you to play a B flat, minor 7, flat 5. How does this go? Index, A string, 1st fret. Ring finger, that's finger 3. D string, that's the 4th string, 2nd fret. Middle finger, that's your 2nd finger, 3rd string, 1st fret. So that's the G string, 1st fret. Yeah, this looks a bit like a D major shape, although obviously all the way down here. And then you have your pinky on the second string, second fret. You only want to play those 4 strings we have fingers on. And the last chord is just an A sus2. Okay, I suppose if you haven't been playing for all that long, these chords are going to be fairly new to most people. So I would spend a long time just doing this. Go from one chord to the other until you can play them nice and cleanly. You want to play those chords really clean, because even when you have distortion, everything needs to sound clear. Clear as in you need to be able to hear what you're doing, even if your distortion is really heavy. Let's look at the rhythm now. Again, this is just a 1-bar pattern. Right, that's the pattern. Again, don't forget that you're going 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a with your right hand. And let's go beat by beat. So on beat number 1, you have 1 and. Okay, you're strumming the 1 and the and. 1 and 2, 3, 4. On beat 2, 1 and 2 E and da. So you have 2 E and as muted strums, 2 E and da. An upstroke on the of 2. So far beats 1 and 2, 1 and 2 E and da. Right? 3 will be an empty downstroke because it's a rest. So you'll be taking your hand down on 3. Your hand always goes down on the beat, okay? But you won't be playing anything. You'll play the E of 3, which is the next upstroke after 3. E and then the downstroke. Let me play it for you. Okay, 1 and 2 E and 2. Got it? And on 4, you simply go 4 E and, so down, up, down, like this. So you loop the rhythm as you change chords, and you get this. Probably tell the rhythm at the end changes slightly, right? So you hold the A sus2 for 2 beats, and that's actually going to make up a bar of 2 only, okay? So once you get to the A sus2, you count 1, 2, and then you move on to your open E, and a new bar of 4 starts again. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's actually break this down beat by beat, shall we? So we set the first beat goes 1, 3. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Adding the second beat. Adding the third beat. Fourth beat. Extra pro tip, check out how you want to play the bass region of the chord on the and of 3 to then hit the full chord on 4. These tiny little things just make your strumming sound a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting. Great. Now, in the next bar, the chords change, but the rhythm doesn't. So we don't need to talk about the rhythm anymore. The chords, though, go from an E major to an F sharp. In this case, this would be called an F sharp minor 11 chord with an E in the bass, because you still have that E down there. let me tell you how you play that F sharp minor 11. So that's index on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Then you have the 3rd finger on the A string, 4th fret. That's the 5th string, 4th fret. And then you have the pinky just underneath it. So D string, 4th fret. Okay. You want to hear the open strings ringing out as well. So you want the low E, that's fine. You want the open B, you want the open E as well. So make sure that everything rings out. And then you'll just continue your ascent to this chord. Now this looks rather stretchy, but this is just an E major chord. It's just same chord as that. It sounds slightly different because the order of the notes is different, but that's all. Now this chord, you want your pinky on the 7th fret of the A string. That's your bass note E. Then you want your ring finger, that's your 3rd finger on the D string, that's the 4th string, 6th fret. Then you want your index on the 4th fret of the G string. And again, you want to hear the open strings ring out. This is an E major chord, it's a different way of playing E major. Now, why you want that instead of just going back there, right? If it's just an E major as well. Well, the thing is that if you go, it really just sounds like you go up and then back down, right? Because those notes, that's what they're doing. They're going up and then back down again. But if you listen carefully, you don't want that. You want a sense of ascension, right? You're going up, even though you're coming back to the same chord, you want it to sound like you've gone up. If this shape is super difficult for you and you just can't get it to ring out, you can just go back to the open E. Alright, is it the same thing? Well, it's the same chord, it's not really the same thing. It really does sound better if you do that. But if this sounds clear when you play it, but this sounds rubbish, well then by all means play the clear version, right? That's going to sound better. In the meantime, obviously keep practicing it so that you can get it. Lovely, so this little tag at the end of the verses then, it goes. Let's look at the melody in the intro now. On the record, this melody is played with a slide. Now, I know that, statistically most of you won't have slides. And I don't want you to think that you definitely need a slide to play this. You don't, actually. And unless you're very good and very used to playing with a slide, it doesn't even sound that great. So I'll show you how to replicate the effect of playing with a slide, but playing with your fingers. So nice and slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely. Okay, so you've probably noticed that in order to kind of replicate that sliding sound, just using one finger forces you to move as you would move if you were holding a slide. Let's look at the notes. First, we're going to use finger 3, as we said, on the G string, 6th fret. That gives you a C sharp note. Then you come down to the 4th fret, same string, same finger. You play it once. And then you play it again and slide back up to the 6th fret. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you'll slide back down to the 4th fret. So. And then you jump to the 6th fret of the D string, 6th fret of the 4th string. So you have 2, 3, 4. Then you drop down 2 frets, so you're still on the D string, 4th fret, and then you slide down 2 frets to the 2nd fret. So far you have. Then you go back to the 4th fret, you repeat it, and slide up to the 6th. So far. Lovely. Here's the only place where you use a different finger. So you use finger 1, your index, on the G string, that's the 3rd string, 5th fret. That C note. You play it simply just once like that. And then back to the 3rd finger again on the 3rd string, same string as that C, but on the 8th fret. So far then. Lovely. Then from that 8th fret, you'll slide up and back down. Slide up 1 fret to the 9th and back down. And then down 2 more. And that's it. And to finish, you play an open E major chord. Now, look, the rhythm, I'm not going to break it down completely because I think that might be more confusing than helpful. I suggest you follow your ear and copy what you hear. If you can play the rest, I mean, you can definitely play this. Okay, so again, we've left the best for last. That riff's amazing. So how does it go? Let's go for the 2nd finger, all right? We're going to have our 2nd finger, so that's your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. That's your 2nd string, 2nd fret. You have that note. Now you want to bend up that note. Right, you're going to bend up to get a D. So make sure you bend enough. Now, not only do you have to bend, but you also need to get your high E string to ring out at the same time. And then you drop the bend. So you come back down to the original note, and you also want to get the open E ringing out. So you need to make sure that you stay out of the way of the 1st string so that it rings out on both those notes. And then you take those fingers off and you play both the open E and the open B. Now you've probably noticed how I'm actually using 2 fingers to bend, and this is kind of a rule of thumb. You rarely bend with 1 finger. Just 1 finger isn't really strong enough to be bending, right? Now, if you want to use finger 3 because you're more used to bending with finger 3, by all means, use finger 3 using the same principle. So use all 3 fingers to bend in that case. So we bend up, back down, fingers off. Lovely. So far, so good. Then we play that 2nd fret on the G string. That's an A note. We play that A note on its own. And then you'll play the high E on its own as well. So far you have. And then with your index, which is now free, you play the 1st fret on that G string and you hammer on the 2nd fret. And then you play open B and open E. So far you have. That's it. Practice that enough times because that really is the only unique thing about the riff. After that, you play that we've already played before. So that's it. That's all there is to that song. Great tune. I hope you enjoyed it. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell button so that you get notified when more videos come up. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you are after tabs or sheet music or more in-depth details about the song, even a consultation, all that is available to all my Patreons. So why not become one yourself? Follow the link below. Thank you very much for staying till the end, and I'll see you next time. Arrivederci, hasta la prossima, au revoir.